Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks. Today we're talking apprenticeships. I've got Ben Crowther. He's the Joinery Works Manager at Barnwood Ltd. Welcome to Punchline Talks, Ben.
Hi, Mark.
Great to see you. So tell us all about Barnwood, please, and how long have you worked there?
Yeah, of course. We have three divisions at Barnwood. We have General Works, who do on the construction side. Obviously, we have the construction side that build everything from the ground up, and obviously do refits as well. And we have the shop fitting side as well, which is linked to the joinery shop, which I'm in control of. So shop fitting side do all shops, hotels, anything really that is in a shop, basically, from a refit, from construction. So the joinery shop is linked to that, and we produce all the different aspects from staircases, door linings, skirting, anything to do with fitting the shop out from start to finish.
Okay.
So
Is that like woodwork? Sorry, stop it there.
yes, woodwork. So anything to do with wood, or MDF, or board material, that's what we cater for across the board.
And how old are you now, Ben? And when did you actually start at Barnwood?
So I'm 35, if you can believe that, Mark.
Can't believe that, mate.
I started when I was 15. I left school in Beaufort School in Gloucester. I became an improver from the start, so it's kind of basically like a labouring job. I started for 6 months before the apprenticeship scheme started. So once that, I'd done the 6 months, got a bit of experience in, and then after, so I enjoyed it so much, I went into the apprenticeship scheme. And then after that, I spent 3 years doing an apprenticeship, learning my trade. As I went on to shop fitting, which I went around the country. I went to London, Manchester, all around these different places, and also local areas as well. I've done 6-7 years of being a foreman's mate, and then I entered to be a foreman. So then that means you're in charge of jobs across the country. You could be looking after from 10 blokes on site to 200, depending on what aspect of the job it was. From that, and then after I've had a child and got married, all of a sudden I've needed to be a bit more local. So I've entered into a joinery shop floor manager for 2 years.
So when you were at school, were you always into woodwork? Were you always good with your hands? Why didn't you decide to go to uni? Why this sort of apprenticeship route for you?
So from a very young age, I always had a hammer in my hand or a saw. I was always nailing things together, always trying to think. I was more hands-on than I was academic. So I always wanted to push myself that way. So I always found everything interesting, building something or making something in the garden. I've made loads of things over the years, plant pots, just bogies, and just things that you can just mess about with basically as a child. But from that, DT at school, enjoyed that, and then obviously that escalated into the job role that I finally took on, if you know what I mean.
So what kind of qualifications do you need to work in joinery or get a job at Barnwood or Bricky? Do you need very much, or can you is it just about hard graft, trying to apply yourself to be successful?
Yeah, what used to be for me was key skills was level, it qualifies as a C, but I think it's a 3 now in the new terms, as I'm not really good with the school. I think it's a 3 or 4, which is a C. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you don't get the qualifications, it's not a problem. You would just have to do that on your apprenticeship once you get in, if you know what I mean. So don't worry if you don't get those qualifications. There's still an area that you can go and do it while you're at college learning the joinery as well.
Okay. So what about the other different types of jobs? Because if you got into joinery, there's you can move around the company, can't you?
Yeah. So with Barnwoods, obviously, to get the practical side of it, we always like to push people through the joinery aspect, so you know how to put things together, the aspects of putting A to B and putting everything together. And then if you go on and you don't think this is not quite what I like, but I still want to be around this kind of construction area, we have CAD department that usually do all the measurements, do the drawing on the computers, bringing all the different things. They can go out to site, measure up. Then you got quantity surveying, and an estimator. So we've got all that in-house, and a contracts manager as well, if you want to take that role on. So there's not just one job. You don't just come into this dead-end job where you just want to like stay and think, oh, what am I doing this? I've done 3 years of this now. What can I do? You can expand and think, oh, I might want to do that. We've had a number of kids through the years that think, oh, this is for me. And then also it's changed, something's changed, and they've gone in different sections of the company, which have done really well. But
So how many apprenticeships do you have at the time? You've got a 20 odd, isn't it? Guys and girls?
Across the board, it's about 20. Obviously, we've got admin areas and everything else, and receptionists and stuff like that. So we can cater for all kinds of people, really, depending on what you want to take up.
And what's the number one thing that you like about the job?
Or
when you were a kid, even?
For me, as a child, I did like being in different areas and meeting new people and bonding as a team, I suppose. But just to get the satisfaction of doing a good job at the end of it, so you can take a step back and have a look at what you've produced, I suppose, and then step back and say, well, I've done that, and you've got your name above the door, and you can take a bit of a self-confidence and respect for it, I suppose.
Right.
So yeah, that's the aim of the game, really.
So what kind of salary, if you're a young person coming in to start at Barnwood as an apprentice, what kind of stuff are we looking at here?
So a first year apprentice in the joinery shop would be around about 13,000 a year from a 16-year-old, which I don't think that's that bad. And then obviously once you've done your 3 years, you do 2 years of the level 2, and then a third year is level 3. So you would be looking around about 34 grand or something by the time you qualified.
So in 3 or 4 years, you could be up from 15 grand to around 30,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not a bad salary as well, and a career to go with it as well, and a skill that you could take anywhere.
Yeah, exactly that. And obviously that's 1 day training at college a week as well, so you're not always locked down in the same place. You're away and studying and whatnot. So you're always meeting.
I've got one other question I've got to ask you, really, before we wrap up, because we're running out of time. Is there any chance you could pop around my house and fix my front door? Because it's not great.
That's not a problem. We can sort that out.
I'm sure you could. Ben Crowther, thanks ever so much for joining us from Barnwood Works. It's a pleasure.